Okay, I'd like to call the Joint Special School Building Committee to order. We're at Nashua High North Lecture Hall. It's Thursday, January 27th, 2022. It's 7 p.m. And a note, all masks are required. I'm going to do some, before we actually get started, we're going to do a couple housekeeping things. Cross the T's and dot the I's. So I'll entertain a motion for someone to be chair for the next 2 years. Alderman Wilshire?
I'll make a motion to nominate Alderman Dowd as chair of the joint special.
Anyone else?
I'd
Yeah, we don't need a
that.
second.
We don't second.
Wrong
Okay.
board.
Okay, wrong board. I keep doing that.
And if there's no one else, do I hear a motion to close nominations?
I'll make the motion to close.
The motion is to close nominations. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So the motion now is to nominate Alderman Dowd to be the chair for the next 2 years with all of the same things that we've approved for spending limits. So for myself and Mr. Smith. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now I'll entertain a motion for someone to be clerk.
I would like to nominate Jen Bishop to be clerk for tonight. Just for tonight.
Just for tonight?
Oh, it's forever?
Forever.
I thought it was for tonight.
No, for the year.
Oh, for
Years.
the whole year? And you're going to do it?
I can check off boxes.
So I do nominate her.
All right.
I'll make a motion to close nominations.
All right,
Oh,
the
that was
motion is to
fast.
close nominations. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes. And now the motion is to have Mrs. Bishop be the clerk. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now we can move on.
So what am I supposed to do? I'm just kidding.
I thought it was just for tonight.
Oh, just, yeah.
Roll call and take, do I write down the motions or do you have them written out like we do?
Sean, what do you normally do? Yeah.
Write them down. Are you okay if I number what's on the agenda and then say somebody motioned to approve agenda item number?
Mike?
All right. The young lady who just transcribes everything probably knows your voice and she can take care of the motions.
Okay,
That's what usually happens.
okay. I know when I was clerk for the board, I did not take writing legibly seriously, so I just scribbled a lot.
Okay, so someone asked me to explain the spending limits for the new people.
Mhm.
We authorize the chair to have authorization when things come up in an emergency nature to authorize up to $50,000 and Mr. Smith up to $5,000 on things that can't wait for the next joint special meeting, because an example, if we're putting a roof, something on the roof and all of a sudden they decide, oh, they need something else, if we lose that contractor, it's gonna mess up the schedule and the cost. So we have, on an emergency basis, the authorizations. Does anybody have any questions on that? This is Timmons?
Yes, just for clarification, this authorization is only for the middle school project, right?
Yes,
Okay, just clarification, that's it. All right.
yes.
Thank you.
Alderman
The question that I had was, you mentioned we had spending authority up to 50,000 and then
Nope.
you, no.
No, the chairman has emergency up to 50, we can spend, this is not like things that go to finance.
Okay.
We have the authority to spend $120 million on this project. Well, a lot of which we've already spent. So, this is just for, I was trying to think of instances we've had lately. Oh, the flooding, yeah, if you know, we had a pipe break at Pennichuck with flooding rooms and, you know, we can't wait, you know, for days to call a joint special. You know, the whole building would flood, so we had to authorize Harvey to fix it, or get their contractor to fix it, so, things like that.
Okay.
And if it's a minor thing, Mr. Smith can do it.
Okay.
It's more major than I get involved. Okay,
Chairman Dowd,
yes, Alderman Clee.
thank you. And just for the record, all of those things come back to us
Oh, they all
after the
do come
fact.
back
Yes.
here, yeah,
With explanation.
with explanations of what was done and why. Yeah, everything has to be approved by the joint special. Okay, call the order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Dowd,
Present.
Alderman Wilshire,
Here.
Alderwoman Clee.
Here, and it's Alderman.
I'm just reading what's on the list.
Yeah,
How about, hey, you Clee, does that work?
I've been called worse.
long story.
I respond to I have pizza, so. Okay, Alderwoman Timmons,
Here.
Alderman Sullivan,
Here.
Ms. Raymond is not here, Ms. Lampier,
Here.
Ms. Bishop is here, Ms. Gilio,
Here.
and Mr. Claffey's not here.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum. Would the clerk please call the, say the prayer, and would Alderman Clee lead us in the pledge?
Almighty God, we have the high honor and serious duty to manage the educational affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding, which enables us to face our multiple problems with a with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all of our fellow citizens. So help us God. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I also, since we have a lot of new members, want to explain about the joint special. The joint special is been in existence since Elm Street was built, or before. I know it was done for Elm Street, because my grandfather was the president of the Board of Education. This is set up by the state, and it allows cities to have an organization called the Joint Special School Building Committee, cities, not towns. I don't think towns do it, no. And it's half the members from the Board of Education, half the members from the Board of Aldermen. When a school project comes up, the project itself is approved by the Board of Education. Then they ask an alderman, it's usually me, to to ask for a bond for the amount of, first of all, they transfer the project to the Joint Special School Building Committee. The Board of Ed, other than the 5 people that are on the committee, are, for all intents and purposes, out. We keep them informed, but, and the Board of Aldermen then gets the money in a bond for the project involved. In this case, $120 million for the middle school project. And then that spending authority comes to the Joint Special School Building Committee. None of our expenditures go to the Finance Committee. It's all by state statute done by the Joint Special. I think that's everything. So, the reason we're here tonight, other than the homework you normally get between meetings, I'll tell you about that later, we're doing a major overview of the entire middle school project. So you can see where the project initiated, what's been entailed, what's been done, where we're at today. So I'm going to, let me just check one thing. Oh, before I do that, if there's no objections, waive the reading of the previous meeting's minutes of December 16th, 2021, and place them on file. I just made the remarks by chairman. Sean, did you want to say anything?
Just a note, for everybody's edification, typically the Friday before, we try to send out the packages to everybody. That's done electronically. All the major pieces go, you provided a link. You can look at those in advance. I know you spent all your weekend time looking at all the links. The occasionally, when we get things late or when we get additional packages, then we'll send them on, which we did this week. So I think Monday or Tuesday, you received a updated agenda, and actually, we include the letters of recommendation that Harvey provided in that same package. So,
Okay. With that, I will now call on Harriman to give an overview of the middle school project. Jamie?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jamie Willett with Harriman, an architect and the project manager for the middle schools project. I've been working on these projects for, I don't know, geez, I think somewhere around 2018. Could have been a little bit before then, but, so I've been on it for quite a while. I have prepared a presentation tonight, which is pretty cursory for the size of these projects, but wanted to give everybody an overview that hasn't been kind of part of the process or very indulged in the project over the past year or two. We were initially, well, I'll go ahead and do my slide here. You should all have a copy of the presentation right in front of you. It's exact print from what you're going to see up on the screen. So the agenda tonight for me is the kind of a project overview, and then I'm going to dive into each one of the schools that are part of that overall middle schools project. So we initially were brought on board to create a assessment for deficiencies at the Elm Street School. So we went in and we did facilities assessment of the school. That transpired to grow a little bit as we started to look at that particular school, realizing that there's 3 middle schools that all have some level of need. And so we were brought on to do additional studies as well at those other 2 middle schools, Pennichuck and Fairgrounds School. And that also folded into an additional objective to evaluate those 3 schools for potential 800 student middle schools. So I think Elm Street is somewhere around 1,200 right now, or you know, when we started this project. Pennichuck is around 640, and Fairgrounds was around 730. The thought was that 3 somewhat equally student middle schools was provide for a more equitable, equal opportunity for all the students at the middle school level. So as we began getting into that process, we did like I said, a facility analysis. We walked through all 3 of the middle schools and the sites around them. There was traffic studies done, geotech analysis of the sites, the buildings and the sites. And so we investigated those, we reviewed and analyzed our findings, and then we created a report a couple years back. It was kind of the phase 1 project, we called it, that showed recommended or suggested recommendations for each of the facilities. We also took that to the programming level and reviewed with directors of core groups, principals. We did some community forums and got a lot of feedback on educational needs of the school. Again, reviewed those findings, created a report, and that also is in that large binder that was shared a couple years back. So that's kind of a quick summary of the phase 1. It was a bunch of investigations and findings that ultimately made a recommendation. In fact, there was 2 recommendations that were found out of that school, out of that report. One was to renovate and add additions to the existing Elm Street School, and add renovations and additions to the Fairgrounds School and Pennichuck School. So the right side there, you're seeing Fairgrounds and Pennichuck. That remained the same in both options. What was different between option 1 and option 2 is that option 1 was to renovate the existing Elm Street School, which would have been a difficult challenge to create the 800 student schools, but there was a lot of deficiencies at Elm Street. The site itself, as an example, has no real opportunities for athletic fields. That was a really major one at the time we were talking about. The school itself was built in, as Alderman Dowd mentioned earlier, back in the 30s, so there was a lot of deficiencies in that side of the building that needed to be addressed. So then the second option was we looked at a site in the southwest quadrant of Nashua, down near Cherrywood and Buck Meadow Road. There was an existing site there that was pointed out as a potential school site. So there were some investigations done there. And as you can see on the left there, the new middle school was proposed to be there. That was the ultimately chosen by the JSSBC as the site option to go forward with.
If I could interject one thing, when we did the analysis on Elm Street, to renovate that was going to cost in excess of over $20 million more than building a new school. And when we were done, it still wouldn't meet any of the objectives of the middle school program.
Yes, thank you. It was actually designed originally as a high school, not a junior high school or not a middle school. So it'd be a challenge to make that particular school into the middle school, which the other two schools already were designed to be. So with that being the chosen option, Phase 2 began once the appropriate bonding was voted on. And this slide kind of is a little bit out of sorts, but we began that process of design, which I'll show you in the next few slides of where those projects landed. But here's kind of a schedule of what the design process looked like, that Phase 2 starting of that Phase 2 process. So I labeled FMS for Fairgrounds, PMS for Pennichuck, and NMS for the new middle school. SD is a schematic design, so that's a very early design. DD is design development. That's kind of like, I'd say partly midway there, but it's not quite midway there. That's really where you're starting to form the project and what it's really going to look like. And then construction documents, noted as CD, is a document that would be, the contractor would be able to build from. So the construction documents are the actual documents that they build from. And then I labeled CO as the construction complete. The CO generally kind of stands for the certificate of occupancy. That's when the school is allowed to move into the school. Some of these dates are somewhat tentatively, specifically Pennichuck and more so the new middle school. But this is the intended certificate of occupancy, or when the school will be occupied. So you can see 2020 was a very busy time. There was a lot of design going on. Fairgrounds went out in June of 2020 for construction, and Harvey had taken that over to build all the way until looks like August of 2021. That school is nearly complete. There's a few little things being finished up when there's some holidays and stuff, but generally it's complete. And school has been in session there since that time frame. And then for Pennichuck, the documents were completed at the end of 2020. Harvey has been working over there since that time frame and is still there doing construction. You'll see some photos that Ken from Harvey will be sharing in a little bit. That tentatively is set for the end of 2022 to be 100% complete. I know a mass of it gets done for the next school season in September of 22, but there's still some other elements that need to linger in through the rest of that year. And then the new middle school construction documents were completed at the end of the summer this year, or excuse me, actually in 2021. And construction is gearing up to get going. We're waiting for a couple of additional permits, specifically the alteration of terrain permit. That's getting near, but still has a few more details to get to the end of that one. And then I believe Harvey is getting ready to start clearing that in the very, very near future. As soon as we receive that alteration of terrain permit, I think they're ready to get going. In the meantime, they've been issuing submittals. And for clarification, submittals are documents from Harvey to show the owner and the architect what products are ultimately going into the project, because we create a list of products and they will issue submittals, so they'll show officially which products are going in. They'll show how they're being used as in a shop drawing, and they'll assemble them in layouts and showing us how they intend to use those products. We review them. We either approve them or ask them to revise and resubmit the product or literature. And then they can go ahead and start ordering that product at that point. So that's a submittal. We'll cover that again as we get deeper into the discussion. RFIs are requests for information, and so they may have a question from our documents or something that wasn't clear, and they'll ask a question so they can get a clear answer on how to proceed with something. So that's kind of what we're doing right now in the new middle school, getting that ready to get going. All right. I'd like to actually pause if anybody has any questions on the early discussion there, or anything that I might have said that wasn't clear, and then we'll get into each one of the schools. Yep.
Oh, Alderman Cleen?
No, Alderman.
Oh, Timmons.
Oh, it's just a question. Is it possible that the new board members can see the completion of the Fairgrounds Middle School, since it is completed and we already went through it? But I think it would be nice if the new board members would take a tour of that school so that you can get a visual on how, actual physical.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I've talked to Sharon Coffey, who's the principal. We can do tours anytime. It's usually after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But anybody who wants to tour it, just let me know. We'll set it up.
Okay. I think it would be wise to do that so you could see the accomplishment already of the schools, or at least one of them.
Sure, sure. You'll see a little bit of that on paper, but certainly being in the school makes a bigger difference.
Physical
So.
tour.
All right. So Fairgrounds Middle School. What I actually have here is kind of a project recap. It's a before and after photos. It'll show you what happened. You can see here on the exterior, on the upper left is before. The building got a brand new entrance, new entry as you walk in. A lot of site work had gone in with some landscaping and some benches. The parking lot was revised. The bus loop and parent drop-off loops were separated. Originally, they were going through the same loop, and there was some dangerous attributes to that, so there was a creation of a completely separate loop. The fire loop got upgraded around the back. This is showing that shot into the main entrance. You can see a revised, like a new sign up there. Again, new landscaping, new entry canopy. I don't know if you can point with this, but yeah, right there's a new entry canopy. You walk into here, and actually that next slide shows that a little better. So you can see the old entry canopy. It's kind of hard to tell that was the entry other than the little gable end there. But now we've got a nice bright entry, and in fact, as we move inside, you'll see that the old administration had to only see people coming in with a camera. They were further down the building. Now they have oversight of the entry, so there's a secure vestibule as you walk in. Here's that kind of walking in before and after. And then you can, yep.
Just want to point out at this point, we have used state funds to do all of the schools, or most all of the schools. It's practical. We've put the new security entrance in. There's a buzzer after school's in session, and anybody that comes to the school presses the buzzer. They have a camera, and they can see who it is. Make sure you're not carrying anything they don't want in the school. And then you go in through those doors, and that's a secure vestibule. You can't go any further into the school. There's another set of doors that have to be buzzed open, and you meet with the there's a window that it's what's the term we're using? Not bulletproof.
Bullet resistant.
Bullet resistant
window. Yeah.
And they ask you why you're there, and so they know who's going into the school and what they have with them. And then they get buzzed into the school with a badge.
Yeah, so these interior set of doors will be locked up, and then the people that need to go into the building, they can buzz them in, or if they're just dropping something off through a transaction drawer, they can do that at that entry. So before, you had to go all the way down to these doors. You got buzzed in outside, and you can come through all the way down. You had to go down to the admin all the way down here. So that was a security feature added to this school, which is a very important one.
Yeah.
You can also see the upgraded, sorry.
This is the main offices are in here now. The principal, the vice principal, and they're all in that area.
You can also see the upgraded finishes. I think if, yeah, we didn't turn around. On the opposite to our, where we're standing in this photo, there's some new display cases to help display students' artwork and work in general. We created some, in the existing, this Fairgrounds has 3 different wings. It's a 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade wing in the school. In the middle of those wings was a field of lockers. That was their community space. You can see it a little bit here in this photo. And what we ended up doing was creating a community space inside the middle of the school where kids could collaborate, teachers could collaborate, they could collaborate together, they could work together, they could do separate classes out there, and maybe have different students or different classrooms coming together and working inside this space. So really it's a collaboration space inside of the center. Those lockers ended up moving to kind of perimeter around the corridors, and I think they're, yeah, I didn't have a photo in this particular slideshow, but there's enough lockers there for the 800 students. Behind this particular wall over on this side of it, if you turn to the left, there's some little office type areas where students or teachers could go in and have small lessons. There's a lot of glazing so they can kind of work inside and outside of those rooms. This past, I guess it was this fall, I had gone in, actually on the back side here, there's also a TV back here with a display that's interactive, whiteboards that are fully interactive. But it's kind of interesting, I went in there in the spring, they had a parent night. I happened to be there on a parent night. And it was kind of neat. The little TV had like a fire going, and it just felt really warm. And they had a little signage that said, you know, this is your area, students. You know, please respect it and use it, or so you don't lose it. And it really hit right what it was supposed to be. It was their space, their community space that they can work in and work together. And it was pretty exciting for me to see. So. Gymnasium got a little bit of a renovation there, basically a complete makeover. You can kind of see that. New bleachers, new floor, new athletic equipment as far as gym, curtain and wall pads and hoops, thank you. In fact, actually, some of the things you're not seeing there is also before there was windows with old shades that were just hanging there. We ended up putting a translucent wall panel in there, a durable wall panel. So it kind of filters the light down, but allows light in. And there's no need for shades to be in there. So that's another upgrade. And a bunch of the doors got replaced. So. Another shot from on the outside, kind of looking back the other way. Some new lands. That was a field of pavement out there before. We incorporated some landscaping and kind of made it feel fresh and new. All right, over at Pennichuck Middle. Actually, any questions on Fairgrounds?
I just want to know how you made.
Oh,
I just want to know how you made the sky blue when you did all that renovation.
Actually,
That was pretty good.
It rained the morning we got there, and then it actually cleared up and was actually that blue. I mean, yes, it's a little accented, but.
Alderman Sullivan?
Thank you. I just, not a question, a comment. Bravo. All 3 of my kids went through Fairgrounds, and it's been a few years since I've seen the inside of it. Great job.
Thank you.
Looks really, really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the lockers now are big enough to hold those gargantuan backpacks the kids have.
All right, moving on to Pennichuck. Like I said, this one's under construction, so the slides you see here are going to be a little bit different. Ken from Harvey will share some progress photos, but this is just kind of showing the design intent here. So on the site, there are traffic improvements ongoing out there. I think right now there's some temporary signal that's highlighted by the yellow star there. Right now there's temporary traffic signals. Those will be finalized with final traffic signals once the intersection's completed. There's some additional work, a little bit of widening, a turn lane adding, coming onto the site. There's also a new bus entry, also is also intended for like an emergency access drive. So initially there was only this one entrance into the school. There was no other entry. So there was a new bus entry that was actually is added and being used. So the buses can come from the south and come right onto the property, and they come around this new bus loop that's been created. There was a bus loop here, but it's been renovated, I guess you'd word it. In addition, emergency vehicles can utilize that access, so there's not only one access point to the site. So like I mentioned before, new bus loop, buses from the north come down, they come onto the property and come down this loop, and this is a dedicated bus loop. Parent drop-off comes through here. There's a queuing lane that occurs all the way down the front here. They drop off here at the Blue Star, and then they can loop out and go back out. There is an on-site traffic signal here that I think, again, there's a temporary one right now, but will be a new one when the final traffic designs that kind of helps regulate some of the traffic that would occur at this intersection on the site.
Just one other thing, Jamie. This is Old Harris Road. We have moved the entrance from up here further back, and it's basically only a road now that services Pennichuck's new solar field. There used to be house lots out there, they bought them all. And in this area here, they're moving Pennichuck's fence back, and there's 8 or 10 new utility poles there because they have 4 acres of solar panels, and all that electricity is coming back into the grid. And I don't think, the other thing is before we can widen the street, there's a gas main here, a gas vault, and it's being moved onto Pennichuck land, and we have had legal do all the necessary easements. Alderman Sullivan?
Can you, I'm just trying to get my bearings on Pennichuck. Can you use your pointer just to tell me where I always know where the track is. Where is the track?
Right here, it's out here.
Got it.
That's the back of the school.
Okay, perfect. Thank
So
you.
this is Manchester Street going up and down this way.
I got it. Yep, thank you.
And that's the thing that comes across Henry Burke
Yeah, he's got it.
footbridge.
And this image shows the new additions that are going on to the school. The next slide will actually clarify that a little better, but I did also want to note that there's some new parking out here, some inside the parent drop-off that would be used for just parents coming by to just check in at the school. We like to bring, so right now, before this construction started, the parent loop and bus loop are opposite. The desire generally is to have the parent loop near the main entry to the school so that oversight, as parents get used to coming into that main entrance, they're not trying to get into the back entry of the school. We want to keep them coming through the front of the school so that secure entries can always be used, and it's kind of creates that pattern.
Alderman Clee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know you'd probably take comment afterwards, but I just wanted to tell you, last night I spoke to a number of people about this, and they're already giving compliments as to how they can see the path happening and how much easier it's going to be. And my only comment was, please don't park across the street. Use the loop. And but even some of the residents that are in there really like that light,
Great.
and so on, which made me feel good.
They can now cross the street to go walk on the track without being killed.
Yeah, I'll make a comment to that. It was noted early on that this intersection here was very dangerous for students crossing. There was no real means to slow the traffic down. So there was a crosswalk, but it wasn't well flagged and well noted, and it was hard to get out of the school and out of school. In fact, we were often reminded that nobody wanted to be a crossing guard at this area.
Alderman Clee tried that for
Alderman Clee did try it, I heard, for a while.
aged about 10 years.
But was noted as very dangerous. So this traffic signal improved that situation. In addition, there was a crosswalk added, or is being added. It has started to be added. It'll be finalized as construction progresses this summer coming. So, all right. Next slide shows the additions and the renovated areas. So you can see the green areas of the new additions. This will, the north and south addition are classroom additions. There will not only house the additional students that would come from, kind of split up from that 1,200 students over at Elm Street School, but also there was 2 modulars on site that house students, and so those classrooms, the modulars I think they've both been pulled away, I believe, at this point. There's still one, correct? Yeah,
One,
there's still
yeah.
one there. One of them has been pulled away for the construction work. Eventually, they both will be gone, and the students will be housed in the school. Big security there, because before they're going outside, and so that really helps that feature. And the modulars were aging out. The the Learning Commons to the left you see there, that is the new library Learning Commons area. There's a music and chorus edition off to the right of your screen, and then a boiler edition with new boilers going in or have gone in and are running in the little kind of bottom right corner of the school. The Learning Commons is being displaced in the middle, with the existing ones in the middle of the school, with renovations ongoing. All these blue areas are areas that are significantly impacted under renovations. There are some other pieces being touched in all the kind of some of the gray areas, but not widespread. But there are some going on in some of those other areas. A lot of mechanical controls and stuff like that, and new type of elements like that. Yeah, I think those are highlighted in there. Yeah, so new bathrooms renovations going on. But anyway, so my point was that so we had to create additional space, modify spaces inside. The cafeteria is getting get a little bit larger square footage wise to house the additional students. The nurses area has been renovated so that's ADA compliant. Admin was updated last year. That was a project that happened prior, and that was part of the security funding that Alderman Dowd had alluded to earlier. So a lot of that's ongoing. The additions, I know all the additions have at least been started or are very far along, except for the Learning Commons. That'll come next year, or the end of this year, I guess. Spring, I'm told.
Bring it.
All right, anything on Pennichuck anybody has a question about? I know this is very cursory and high level, but I wanted to make sure I presented it.
I was just wondering where the entrance is to the school, the main entrance.
Sure. So it's the existing main entrance is right here. So that the intersection was over here. You drove in the parent loop, and it comes down, and the main entrance is here. There's also a secondary entrance at this school, which exists already, but that's where the bus students would come into this back entry right here. Anybody else?
Yeah, we're gonna be doing some work on the entry area as well, with some new concrete, because it's in bad shape.
I do have one question. Are they going to add solar panels to?
This is not part of Harriman's scope necessarily. We've been working together with Revision Energy, who is the selected vendor for that. But yes, the Fairgrounds got solar across the entire roof. Pennichuck is also getting it, and the new middle school,
Yes.
I believe, is also slated for that. Yeah.
Yeah, Revision Energy, we sort of got ahead of the game in Fairgrounds with Revision, and we had to move some of the panels after they were put in, so we're not doing the solar panels on Pennichuck till we're done.
Oh, okay.
All right. Moving to the new Nashville Middle School. Again, this is the school site is down off Buck Meadow Road, which is right here, going up and down, noted by the yellow star. That's the main entry to the school. And then Cherrywood is just a little snippet here, and this is Medallion Court down this direction. So it's kind of in that corner there. The original site, as it was started was in this little green here. There was some additional land purchases, particularly this one, and then there's a little sliver here that occurred over the course of the design. So again, Buck Meadow is here. The main entrance will come up and down onto the site. The bus loop is right here where the red star is. They'll be dropping off here, and then they'll be entering this entrance here, which we'll look at the school itself in a moment. The parent loop will come down. It goes down to this blue star here. That is the main entrance to the school where the secure vestibule is located. There's a assortment of parking lot pieces, parts and pieces inside of here, noted by the purple star. There's a facility building right here that houses athletics and building maintenance storage. In the orange area is a wetland protection area. There's some vernal pools in that area and some wetlands that are being kept back from so they can stay intact from exactly what they are. So that's noted right here on the north side of the site.
And we're partnering with the Conservation Commission, and they're in total, full agreement on the project.
Yep, there was meetings with them, and we made some altercations to the site layout to make sure that we met some of their desired intents on that, so it was a really, really nice process. Here you can see the playfield. So one of those big things like that was missing at Elm Street was there was no place to have playfields. You can see there's it's kind of, the green kind of covers it up, but there's a track going around a soccer field in the middle of that. There's a softball field and the baseball field, and there's also a basketball court here, and right through here, in this area.
Better pictures in a minute.
There's again, emergency access drive. This is intended to be gated off so that parents won't be coming through that to drop off their students. But the emergency vehicles can gain access, or maintenance vehicles can gain access that direction if need be.
It'll also be a walking entrance for the kids going to the school from Cherrywood and the area down here.
There is a a fire access loop that goes around the building here. It's also you'd also have drop-offs to the kind of utility area back here, like kitchen is back there, and building storage is back there, and dropping off paper supplies and things like that. That would happen back here. One thing not really highlighted, there is a little play area right here. We'll talk about the inside of the building in a minute, but there's the lower level of this building, so that the grade kind of tapers off. This portion that I'm highlighting, we'll talk about in a moment, but this portion right here, left and right, and this upper area is all at grade. There's a lower level that happens below that's also at grade, so it kind of comes down about 14 feet to this area. This lower level was dedicated at the time of the design, actually, and I think it was in phase 1, to be an autism program that was non-existent in the middle school level. I understand they have it at Sunset Heights at the elementary school level, but they lose those students in the middle school level. So they wanted to create some space for that, and that was put into this lower level here, so they have a dedicated space for them. And then we'll talk about it in a second, but this area up above, this big like head area here, is the public area of the building. It has like unified arts and it's public type events like the gymnasium and a performance theater stage. But this lower level, this lower piece of the building is the classroom wings. So I'll move to the next slide.
And go back 1 second. From a security standpoint, we can lock this part of the building off so that when people come in to use the gym and other things here, they can't get into the school part.
Okay.
Alderman Sullivan?
Thank you. I had some questions about where the school is situated in relation to Cherrywood. There's a lot of great walking trails that interconnect through Maplewood. So will those be integrated into this? And then the second part of my question, for anybody that might know, is of the 800-ish students that will go to this school, how many will come from that Maplewood area? Do we know that?
Well, that's going to be up to the Board of Ed to throw the dartboard and redistrict.
Okay.
So I wouldn't even attempt to answer that, but the idea is that the people in that area of the city that now get bused to Elm Street would be going to this school. There is another piece of land, buffer land, 2 pieces actually, between the school property and Cherrywood. And we're going to be working with the Conservation Commission as far as all tying into the trails and things. Because the kids here, if they want to run cross-country, will probably go into those other properties.
Yeah, I think the area that you're referring to is right here where this red dot is. There's a bunch of, they kind of noted on the survey, there's like access trails or, so that those are still out there. And there's a big city-owned parcel out there that's part of all that,
Yeah.
so.
Great.
Here we're looking at we'll call it the first floor of the school. There is that lower level we'll look at in a second, but this is the first floor. Again, this portion, so this building kind of turned counterclockwise from what you saw on the last screen. So north is right here where the cursor is right now in the dark blue area. That's north side of the school. The south side of the school, this has that lower level right here, just that one classroom wing. The red star indicates the parent drop-off loop. That's the main entry to the school. That is, when you walk in, there's a secure vestibule there. That's flanked by admin to one side and guidance and nurse to the other side. When you come into the school, you get past the security vestibule, you come into this purple area, which is, I've noted them as support spaces, but this particular one is the kitchen and cafeteria to the school. I have some imagery that we can look at what that'll look like when you first walk in. There is a community stair where students can gather, socialize, eat their lunch, and that actually faces toward the performance stage, which is this dark blue area here, right there. This big purple area in the center is the gymnasium, as well as locker rooms and coaches' offices and that sort of thing. If you continue down that main corridor down through the center of the school here, you can see there's a little dark blue area here. That's STEM and robotics. And then there's a bunch of back-of-house spaces off to, if you're walking down the corridor, be to the left. So there's building storage, the boiler room, maintenance office, and storage spaces. If you come around, this is all Unified Arts. Down this bar holds Unified Arts. You have the CTE workspace, tech lab, band at the corner, music, health classroom, family and consumer science. There's 2 classrooms there, and 2 art rooms with a storage and kiln space between them. This is the yellow star is where that bus drop-off occurs, and then there's a vestibule to let kids in that way when the doors are unlocked for bus entry. If you continue down that corridor, you pass back by the cafeteria area, you'll reach this black star. That black star is noting the public versus classroom junction, I call it. So there's doors there that will separate those 2 spaces so they can be locked in the evening hours so that you can still have public events or use the gymnasium without having people access the classroom wings. Could be a lockdown occasion where those also are released. They're on hold opens, so they're open most of the time during the day. If there was a event, they would release and they would close and be locked. There is an elevator and a stair in this area that would allow you to go up to the other floors above. And then the rest of these areas are different assortments of classrooms. There's science classrooms, there's general classrooms, there's smaller classrooms like resource rooms, there's collaboration spaces down there, similar to what we showed you at Fairgrounds. And I do have a little bit of imagery of one of those in a second. These gray areas here are some toilet rooms, some boiler rooms, and it's pretty similar around each classroom, each wing. There is some differences in some of them because there's some special ed classrooms. There's an OT-PT room, as an example, that has a swing support in it with some different flooring that's a little more resilient. So there's some differences throughout there, but generally speaking, they're pretty similar. There's also an additional elevator down here, which brings you down to the lower level or up to the second level. The second level also houses the learning commons, so we want to make sure we have access to those areas. And then this elevator goes first, second, and third floor. So if you go down to that lower level, again, not much difference. The only real difference I think is kind of a little bit of the layout because it stops here, but there's some administrative or offices that are happening over here, some storage, and then the restrooms are there's some additional restrooms added in this area because there's not that center hub where there's the multi-user toilet rooms. There's an additional OT-PT room down here, and then some general classrooms with some quiet rooms, and then also some de-escalation rooms, and then some pre-escalation rooms. Going up 2 floors from there, or the second floor, all this white area really becomes either the view from the floor below or roof areas. So there's no space necessarily that people would be in these white areas. There is some mechanical spaces. You can see there's some right here, and then right here there's some mechanical rooms. But generally, you come up the community stair or the elevator, and you have a corridor down to the learning commons, which is right here. There's a computer room here. Or you go to the classroom wings that has, again, the assortment of kind of spaces for classroom. And if you go up one more floor, you've got just the classrooms, really. This is all roof work over here, so this is just the classroom wings. So here is a rendering of what the school is intended to look like. If you had a nice clean visualization of what that looks like, it's gonna look almost identical to this when it's completed. So you could see there's the view up to Buck Meadow going that way. This is the main entry to the school. The bus loop is here. The main entry is coming through here and dropping off to the main entrance right there. You could see the classroom wings over here, and you can kind of see that lower level. There's 4 levels here, but only 3 levels here. So you can see that drop off. This is coming down toward Cherrywood. You've got the athletic fields we talked about over off to the right. Little maintenance building right there I was talking about. This is new for people that were on the board before. We worked on this over the past month or so. So.
I don't remember seeing this. It's nice.
Much more visualization.
Yeah.
And then here's standing on the fields, and you're looking back at the main entrance. The main entrance to the school is right there. This classroom, 3-story over here. The gymnasium, high story there, and then the library is back in this little dot here.
Notice that there are more than enough parking spaces. One of my bugaboos.
Okay, then, so if you walk into the main entry, you go through that secure vestibule I was talking about earlier, and you walk into the school, you're allowed to go in. You're going to see the cafeteria and the performance stage when you first walk in, and this is what you're going to see. So you can see the kitchen serving lines will be behind these doors here. Up above, you're seeing the learning commons. These are rooms, there's some breakout rooms, or this particular one here I'm pointing at is a reading area inside the library. Almost like a sports box where you're looking down over the cafeteria, but you also can see the stage from here. And I think my next view, you'll actually be looking back at the stage from up on top of the community stair off to the left. So if you walk up those community stairs and you turn around, you're looking back to where we were standing down here, but there's your performance stage. And then again, those box seats over here. I often got questions about the sound of the cafeteria into the library area. This wood texture here that you're seeing here is actually an acoustic treat. It's called Rulon. It's an acoustic siding that helps keep the sound deadened inside that space. But also the glass that's here is insulated glass. The walls have a high STC, sound transmission coefficient, to help buffer that. So very good rating on this wall here. And then in addition to just general sound going through the wall, the rating of that Rulon system helps deaden the sound so that space doesn't sound like a real loud space. This is you walk all the way down, you go through the separation between the public area and the classroom side. You go all the way down to the end, and you come into, I actually like to point where we're going. So if you're coming all the way down and you went to one of these wings, you're standing right here looking into this collaboration area right here in this next slide that I was going into, right here. So now you're looking at the glass at the end. Students are collaborating inside of this space. This is a stairwell going down to all the floors right here, one of them. There's a classroom to the left, there's classrooms to the right. There's actually, where this student is sitting here, there would be a TV like we had at Fairgrounds, I mentioned earlier. where the fireplace is going, that sort of thing. And if you walk a little bit further and you turn around, you're looking back down the corridor you just came, but there's also these community little groups like we had mentioned again at Fairgrounds where students can go and work with teachers or teachers can work together and collaborate and kind of have more of maybe a project-based meeting inside of these. All right, any questions on the new middle school?
Questions, Alderman Clee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Refresh my memory, these glass walls and so on, can you see in from the outside of those?
Are you talking these ones right here?
No. If you go to the one you were showing with the
Right here?
this one here, yes, that one there.
Yeah, mostly yes, you can. The glass is treated with a low E. It helps with the glare coming off it, so it will actually give you an appearance that it's not totally transmittance through visual through that. But yes, you can see through them.
May I follow up? Mr. Chairman?
Follow up?
Yes. The only reason I'm asking is I was just recently at St. Joseph Hospital, and I noticed when I walked into the entranceway, they have all this glass that you can see out from inside that, but you can't see in. And where we continue to think of the safety of the children, I didn't know if we had thought about anything like that, or...
Yeah, those discussions can go really deep. There's kind of two sides to that, and I would defer some of this conversation to Nashua's Safety and Security Director, but being able to see in and out is also sometimes as important as not seeing some spaces. So,
I think police and fire prefer that they can be seen in.
Okay, thank you. That answers my
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, Gloria?
Okay,
true.
it's just a comment. The futuristics of those lights, are they lights or what are they?
the lights.
They're lights. They're great. Okay. They're kind of like
LED.
LEDs, yeah, lights in the building are LEDs. Yep.
Oh, okay.
The entire building will be energy efficient.
I'm impressed.
Yes.
I was just wondering, in the picture, the lunch area looked kind of small. How many lunch periods will there be?
Oh, you would ask me that when I don't remember the number. It has been calculated. It will be able to have, I can't remember the exact amount of lunch numbers that were discussed. Can I come back to you with that answer next meeting?
Yeah, I didn't want the kids to have to be eating lunch at like 10:30 in the morning or anything.
No. I think there was, I'm thinking 3, but I don't like to say something that I'm not positive about. I believe there was 3 lunch periods that would house 275 students, comes off the top of my head, but I will come back with an official answer at the next meeting.
Ms. Gilio, did you have a question? Okay.
Alderman Dowd?
Yes.
If I may. Carl reminded me that on top of the safety and security conversation about the glass we were talking about, not seen in any of these images, but we have talked about in the past, is there is a floor, in each one of the classrooms, there's a floor pattern change that happens. Basically, and I'd be glad to bring an image on the next meeting, but there's basically the floor pattern changes outside of the view of the door. So if there were an event inside the building, if you were standing at the door looking into the glass or into the doorway, you wouldn't be able to see if you were hidden on the different colored floor. So the floor color change represents a quote-unquote safe zone where you can't be seen. So you wouldn't be able to be seen inside the building.
Right.
I'd like to bring some imagery of what that looks like in the next meeting, but just a little bit further on some of the safety security that Alderman Clee had brought up.
It's some of
Can
the
I
ladies.
Can I
They're
just
all
say
locked
can I just say how horrifying it is that this is what we have to do to protect our kids now? It's really terrifying.
I know. It's some of the suggestions of designs of schools today for security.
I have one other question.
Gloria?
Basic follow-up. Is that the same on all 3 of the schools or just this particular school?
There's some in Fairgrounds and Pennichuck. We didn't renovate all of the classrooms, but the ones that we were renovating do have some of those features.
Right, yeah. not the entire school was renovated.
Okay.
More so in Pennichuck than Fairgrounds, but, and, any other questions? Oh, Alderman Clee?
I apologize for so many, but I also wanted to kind of comment for those that are new to the board. This entire process, your staff and so on met with teachers and all the stakeholders to get their input, and design changes were made to accommodate those needs and so on.
Every department was met with on all three schools.
Yeah, and it's not officially done because we're still doing furniture packages for
Yeah.
Pennichuck, and the new middle school has not started the furniture process, but still meeting and working with teachers and getting feedback. But yes, we did meet with city entities, police, fire, building officials, as well as teachers, directors, principals, assistant superintendents.
Also, there was a
Anthony.
follow-up meeting with the middle school steering committee last year. which
That's
we
correct,
came-
Yeah.
Came to,
Yep.
so.
So
Yeah, we did a survey for the community too, and had a community event where community could come in and talk. So it has been a continued process, and it's not over. I mean, we're still having those discussions, even with the designs complete. So
Yeah, so to some degree, Fairgrounds and Pennichuck, we have, if they have color selections and stuff, we sort of involve the principal and the senior staff. We have design engineers for the new middle school, but as we go along, all those decisions will come back to this board for review. Any other questions from the, Jen?
I apologize, this isn't for the new middle school, but in regards to Pennichuck, the light that's out there, is it on a timer? Does it go to like a flashing yellow light when the school's in? Because I'm hearing people are getting a little
Right
cranky
now,
about having
the-
to wait for a light that they're not used to.
Right now, they have the magnetic sensors in the road that control the lights.
Yep,
The new light, when we have the final lights, will be able to be controlled.
okay,
There will be a connection to DPW, and they can program, I believe, the changes in the lights by time, so.
cool. Thank you.
Alderman Clee?
Yeah, I was just going to add to it, as a person who lives in that general vicinity and drives through there all the time, I can tell you that the light only changes if someone is coming out of the school or coming down from Ferry Road.
Right.
Otherwise, it remains. Those two things trigger it. And then if for some reason there was a long line there, it would have a cycle. So they're not going to wait for all those cars to finish before they release the ones on Manchester. So Manchester only gets the red light. My husband swears that people are waiting on Ferry Road for us to come, but I don't think it's a coup or anything, but,
So even though it's my ward now, I just want to tell Alderman Clee.
Oh, it's no longer your ward.
Yeah. So I talked to Lisa Foto today about pushing the snow as far off the road as possible because Manchester Street right now is a little narrow with the parents waiting, but it won't be once we widen the street. Yes, Ms. Giulio?
I just want to make a couple of comments. As a retired school librarian, I'm particularly impressed with the Learning Commons and what you've done already at Fairgrounds and the plan that you're working on at Pennichuck. And also the collaboration spaces are so key in middle schools. And I just think it's amazing, and they're going to be used constantly. So a lot of good thought went into this, and I appreciate it for one.
As I explained to the teachers a couple of times, several years ago, we went to the middle school concept, but we never modified the facilities to facilitate the middle school concept. Now they'll have it. All set for the architect? All right, Ken. Oh, Ken.
Good, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Before Jamie hands off the clicker here, I'll just do a quick introduction for those of you who don't know me. You'll see the other half of my face someday. Ken Lemarier, project manager, Harvey Construction. I'm the PM. I was the PM for Fairgrounds, and I'm also the PM at Pennichuck. So heavily invested in all of these projects. My other cohort and my boss here, who's always with me, is Carl Dubois. He's Vice President and Director of pre-construction over at Harvey. So he's been involved in just about every school in Nashua for the last, I won't say how long.
You're gonna age him.
Long time.
So just to give everybody an update on how things usually go for Harvey's portion, I try to hand out a packet for everybody here. Typically, it starts with a construction update for whatever school we're currently working on. For tonight, it'll just be for Pennichuck, because we haven't broken ground on the new middle school yet, on Buck Meadow. And then I'll get into any construction documents that need to be approved and reviewed by this committee. And then tonight, I'll be getting into some of the recommendation packages for trade contractors for the new middle school. That'll help us get started on time. So I'm going to do my best to explain any construction jargon that I throw at you. If you have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand and let me know. So I'll jump into a quick construction update for Pennichuck here. Jamie did a good job of kind of showing the overview of where we stand. This is an aerial photo that was taken, I think, at the end of December of last year. And you can see here, Jamie, which is the... Oh, okay. All right, so you can kind of see the overview here. Manchester Street, that's the new bus entry off of Manchester Street here. That's been completed and temporary paved. We'll be completing the final tie-in this summer when school lets out. So that'll be all wrapped up by the time school gets in the next September. Moving along, there's, back from this view, that's the boiler room addition that was completed in November. I'll get into the details for each of these additions. I just want to kind of show everybody where each of them are situated on the site. The next is the chorus addition that was completed in November 2021. The students have since moved out of the old chorus space and into the new. Again, I'll show some photos of the completed areas as we go through here in more detail. Next is the south classroom addition, just along the new bus loop. That's moving along very well. We actually started painting this week, so hopefully maybe we'll be able to do some tours coming up and you'll be able to see the progress that's been made. North classroom addition, we're loaded. We got all the roofing material arrived on site today, which is a good sign. So we'll get that just in time for the snow. So I'll be showing some progress photos there, but this is you'll be able to see the progress on the north addition as well. And the Learning Commons, Jamie mentioned, you can see that there is one remaining modular classroom there that is demolished during school vacation in April. The original, the one just to the north that Carl was pointing to, was demolished last summer. Once the modular is demolished, those two teachers will move into the brand new classrooms for like permanent home in the south addition, and then we'll be able to start construction of the new Learning Commons that Jamie showed you earlier. That's scheduled to be complete at the end of December of this year. So overall, we're a little over halfway complete in the construction process. We broke ground in the site improvements March 2021, and as I just stated, we'll be wrapping up at the end of this year. Next summer will be all the various site improvements, all the final plantings, landscaping, all the final signalization that the final lights that you were just mentioning before. That'll all take place this summer, and we'll be ready at the end of the summer when the students return. So getting into the additions kind of into more detail. So this is the new boiler room. So this was completed in November of 2021. It includes three brand new boilers. Boilers 1 and 2 are kind of the main life of the building, and boiler 3 is a condensing boiler, which is kind of made kind of like an autopilot boiler used in the warmer months, so we don't have to run those. It's more of an energy efficient system as part of Harriman's design. Commissioning of the new equipment is about 95% complete. We're still given that we aren't done renovating the existing building, we're kind of chasing temperatures around the building, making sure that students and teachers are comfortable during the day. Moving into the chorus edition, as I stated earlier, this was completed in November 2020, early November 2021. All the exterior brick veneer windows are all complete. The interior finishes, marker boards, writable surfaces are all complete. Harriman's performed all of their inspections, punch list. Punch list is basically Harriman and Harvey will go through the space and generate a list of items that make sure that we built it to meet the specifications of the project, and then we issue that to our subcontractors and make sure that the space is turned over as it should be. That's all been completed for this area, and as I stated earlier, they moved out of their original space, and now we're renovating the existing music and keyboard space, and that'll be turned into a health and a keyboard space. We'll be turning that over in about 2 or 3 weeks. South Addition construction progress at the exterior. We call it building envelope. It's basically anything you see on the outside. It keeps all of the water and the air on the right side of the building so we don't get wet inside. So the brick veneer and the windows are all complete. We did receive the aluminum storefront, and we expect the concrete tactile panels that'll complete the facade of the building in the next couple of weeks. All the roofing is complete, and once the weather turns for us, we'll be able to finish up the roof edge at the perimeter of the building. So right here, you see this is the kind of a zoomed in photo of what the concrete panel will look like. So with the operable windows, they're actually really nice windows, and my superintendent is very excited about them. So they don't get happy about much. So. Moving to the interior. I wish I had more updated photos. We've actually started painting this week, so and ceiling grid is going in, so it's really starting to shape up in there. But all of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection in wall and above ceiling is complete. Now it's just kind of tweaking things and making sure that we're addressing all of the Harriman comments for their site visits. Drywall and finishing is all complete. Priming and painting will be complete at the end of this week. Installation of all the fin tube, radiation, that's all the heating elements at the underneath the windows, that is all complete as well. And as I just mentioned, the ceiling installation is in progress right now. So there's a view of one of the student commons that Jamie. So I guess you can see that's walking in from the kind of like the bus loop area from Manchester Street. If you come through the aluminum entrance, that's going to be kind of a collaborative space for the students. These are, Jamie mentioned some renovations of the existing bathrooms. I just want to highlight that there are toilet partitions installed in these bathrooms. So again, when I took these photos, they weren't installed yet. They are installed now. We're going to be actually turning the first bathroom group over on Monday. So then we'll be taking over the second bathroom group in February, and it's about a 5-week turnover to get everything completed in there. But we're just working with Principal Falzerano and his staff to make sure that everything's done on time, and he's been great to work with. Just an example of how we block off our construction areas in the school. We use hard partition doors and all the appropriate signage, so it kind of it accurately and it's pretty obvious where we're working, and we just want to make sure that student safety is the utmost important when we're working in the school in these areas. So the renovations in here is complete demolition of pretty much everything in there. It's a complete facelift, all new toilets, all new countertops, toilet partitions, lavatories, everything, lighting. It's definitely a big change from what was in there before. Moving into the North Addition, so if you look at the upper left-hand corner, this photo was taken in September. So we were doing foundations and digging for, excavating for foundations. And then this photo was taken in December, so you can see the progress that's taken place. On Sunday, we have a crew coming in to shovel the snow off of the roof. And then we'll be installing the roof, we'll begin installing the roofing for the north addition on Monday. So that'll, we're well ahead of schedule on the north addition. So I'm very excited about the progress that our team has been doing out there. As you can see, so all the concrete foundations are complete. All the underground rough-in for plumbing and everything else has been complete, and structural steel and roof deck complete as well.
Dan, you just want to quickly touch on what's going to happen in these areas, like we did at Fairgrounds?
Sure, I'll do my best, and if Jamie wants to jump in and help me out with the aesthetics. But, so those are going to be, those are courtyard areas. Inside there is going to be, I believe in the north courtyard area, there's some concrete flat work going in there. There's some granite benches going in there, some and various landscaping effects going in there as well. So it's going to be a usable space for the students and teachers in there. That'll all be performed in summer 2022.
The other thing that we didn't point out in the other thing, all these air handlers have all been replaced and removed, and with new ones because of the COVID. And I believe we're using the government funding to do that.
Correct, those were all replaced last summer.
Right.
Moving into the exterior kind of overview of what's going on. Again, much more has happened since these photos have been taken just 2 weeks ago. All the exterior framing and sheathing has now been complete. All the air and vapor barrier is in progress. That's kind of a temperature-dependent construction activity. So with the cold temperatures, we have to build a tent around it and heat it to be able to do the work. So we're in the progress of doing that now. We'll be setting up tents next week with, and it looks like we do have some warmer weather coming. So, right.
Relatively.
That's why we want to get the roof on so it doesn't rain inside.
Relatively speaking,
Right.
warmer weather.
Happy superintendent, happy life. The brick veneer will be in progress, as I mentioned. We'll be building the tents to allow us to continue to build the masonry in these cold temperatures. All the operable windows are in progress, and the interior framing is about 90% complete. You can since you can see it there. At the time of I didn't really couldn't find a clean area to take a photo here, but we're roughly 95% complete interior framing today. So we're moving along very well in the north addition, and I think you guys are going to be really happy with the results. Any questions on the Pennichuck construction progress?
Ms. Timmons?
Yes, I have one question. Is that a second level? Is that the classroom area? If you go back a slide?
No, it's all single story for the new additions.
Oh, it looked like it's 2 levels, but it's not, huh? Oh, okay. That's one question I have. Thank you.
Any other questions for Harvey? Ken? Okay. Let's go. So, you want to get into the PCO, PMS?
Sure. So the next portion of the packet that I'll be bringing you guys through, and I'll explain to the new committee members and kind of give a refresher for everybody else. So there are a few acronyms that we use in construction. Two of them there's a PCO, which is a potential change order, and this is generated whether it's from a question that we ask, whether something is unclear. Could be a client development thing. It could be a code official enforcement item. Those go to Harriman. They will issue a directive for Harvey to price. We'll request pricing from all of our subcontractors. We'll review that internally, and then we'll package that into what's called a potential change order, and we'll present, that's where we present that to this group. With approval from the group, then we can give our contractors permission to perform the work and go from there. Once we have a group of PCOs that are approved, I usually try to do it about once every month. we compile those those approved potential change orders into what is called a PCCO, which is a prime contract change order. And that's just kind of a formal document that allows us to alter the overall contract value of the project, whether it's an increase or a decrease. So it's really, and keep in mind that a PCO is comprised of previously approved items by the committee. So anything that I put together in a PCCO, which I'm gonna get into just now, is already been approved presented to the committee and approved. So again, a lot to take in, but if there's any questions, feel free to jump in and let me know. So the first item on the agenda, and these documents tonight are just strictly for Pennichuck Middle School. This is prime contract change order number 7, and this is comprised of 3 previously approved PCOs. PCOs 27 for collaboration and admin area revisions. This is kind of various changes that were requested by the administration. In the end, it was a lot of enhancements, maybe things that weren't needed in the design, and it ended up being a savings of $33.05. So that was a PCO that was presented and approved by the committee. PCO number 28 is a proposal request number 24 from Harriman, which is courtyard door hardware revisions. This was kind of the courtyard areas, the 2 courtyard areas that I highlighted earlier from the aerial view. It was asked by the safety and security department that we need to make sure that those doors have proper locking mechanisms for per the fire marshal and for safety reasons, and tied into the fire alarm as well. So those costs were included in that PCO that was approved. And PCO number 29 is the group bathroom renovations. Those enhancements weren't included in the original design, and after reviewing on site with members of this committee and Harriman, and also with the school's input, we were really only going to be renovating a portion. So we'd have new next to old, and it just made sense we had the funds, and we thought it was applicable to perform that scope. That PCO was also approved. So this PCCO number 7 is comprised of those previously approved PCOs, and that's a total contract value of $67,103.43.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve PCCO 007, which is just validating the PCO 27, 28, and 29, which have already been approved by this committee and signed. Would somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Alderman Sullivan makes the motion. Any questions? Alderman Clee?
Again, just for the new board members, this stays within the budget that we have money
Yes.
put aside to
Yeah.
it. So we're not increasing the contract cost or anything like that. It's still within.
Anything that comes before us that's going to increase the cost, you will know about it. Okay, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And as you notice, I am signing it. My homework book.
Yeah. Okay, moving into the next item on the agenda is potential change order number 30 for Pennichuck. Again, this is work that has not been approved and not been presented to this date. If approved, it'll allow us to move forward with the scope of work. So this is, I'm sorry, I didn't explain what a PR was. A PR is a proposal request. It's kind of the formal document that Harriman Architects will issue to us as a directive to procure pricing from the subcontractors for further review. So this proposal request is PR 32 for additional parking spaces. And Alderman Dowd mentioned earlier that parking is at a premium, especially at Pennichuck Middle School. I think we all know it's very tight there. So Harriman put together a proposal request to add 5 additional parking spaces. Every little bit helps over by the Learning Common. So that includes, the scope of work includes all the subgrade prep, all the fine grading that's required before the asphalt goes down, all the vertical granite curbing shown on the documents issued with the PR, and all the final line striping that is required to complete the area.
And this was administratively approved by Sarah Marchand before she left. So, and these 5 spaces will add parking near the new Learning Commons, which I'm sure Mrs. Gilio would really appreciate. And they're the full-size parking spaces in case you get an F-150.
So all the scope that I just highlighted there, that is for an additional change order amount of $10,103.27.
And I need a motion to approve PCO 30.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Gilio. Any discussion? Yes, Alderman Cleen?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I remembered when we've talked about all these, having to make some changes in the building growth and so on, one of the things that people were upset with, the loss of parking spaces. Can you tell me, do you know offhand how many parking spaces there were, how many we were planning, and what this makes to number 2? You remember all that, don't you?
I believe we gained a few parking spaces in the
You
design.
gained over
yes.
what we had.
Yeah, I
That's
think
one-
the original design before these 5 also had additional parking spaces too, but it was very few.
Right.
These additional 5 will bring it to the max allowed by the city ordinance without getting a special exception. You can get special exceptions to add more parking spaces, but this brings it to the max. That's why it's 5, and the site has the site is a very packed site anyway, so that's why it's also down by the Learning Commons if there was some available space there. But it brings it to that max number that's allowed without getting for a special exception through planning.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So that's why these were administratively approved without having to have a special exception. And I have been working with Mr. Sullivan, not this Mr. Sullivan, but Matt Sullivan. A certain alderman you all know is going to put in a change to that ordinance, because when that ordinance was originally built for schools, they didn't take into account that we have all these paras, psychologists, additional food service workers, and so we need to look at how many parking spaces are allowed, minimum, maximum for a school. So you'll be seeing that as soon as I get some of Dory's time. All right, any further discussion on PCO 30? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Ken?
Thank you. The final PCO that I'll be presenting tonight is PCO number 31, and that is for Harriman Proposal Requests 11 and 36, and this is for the revised garage access. So I forget who in the committee had mentioned this, but everyone's used to seeing the track area. So if you're standing on the track and looking back at the school near the new chorus addition, right over here, there's kind of some rusty stairs and some gnarly looking grass, and this proposal request kind of cleans that area up and allows better access and safer access up to the storage area that's kind of above where a lot of the gym teachers store their equipment and whatnot. So this proposal request captures all of that scope. The scope includes refinishing and painting of those existing metal stairs, so those stairs would get power washed and refinished and repainted. There is a deduct savings for the demolition of those stairs. The original design called for us to demolish those stairs. We've since discovered that those really aren't not in bad shape, and they should be salvaged. So there's a credit for that work that won't be completed. There is an added cost for all the site work prep for the new concrete flat work. That's all the sidewalks and the flat areas, granite curbing, etc. We're going to be adding new fencing and gates around that area to further secure it and kind of spruce up that area. It's going to match the tennis courts, the black vinyl fencing. And there's going to be, the original design called for some specialty pavers in that area. So since we're going to be putting concrete in that area, we're not going to need to install those expensive pavers. So that is a savings there as well. With all those adds and deducts, everything totals to a contract ad of $22,623.97. Does anyone have any questions on the scope of work that was presented?
Any questions? Yeah, we wanted to clean up this, we got all the new changes to the school and all these new brickwork and everything. You go around the corner and see this disaster. So we wanted to clean that up. So are there any questions? Alderman Cleen?
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment. I completely agree with you. Even without all that brickwork, I walk around that school a lot with my greyhounds and so on, and to see that, it just kind of took away from everything. The ground was not in good shape, and it just took away from the school in general. So I'm glad to see this happening.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve PCO number 31 in the amount of $22,623.97.
So moved.
Alderman Wiltshire? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Okay, so the final portion of my presentation tonight, now we're moving into the new middle school, and these are the trade contractor recommendation packages. Will allow us to issue the contracts to the trade contractors and begin the submittal process that Jamie highlighted earlier, so we can get the products ordered and begin the process, with us starting to break ground in March. So just to walk you through how this works, I'm gonna describe the scope of work. I'll highlight the number of competitive bids that we received and reviewed. Typically in that process, we'll identify which bidders are accurately capturing the scope that was designed by Harriman, and then we'll make sure that everybody is apples to apples and that we're doing a fair and competitive bid process. And then we would typically present the low bidder, most competent bidder to this committee for your approval. Just to highlight, the contract value that we're going to be presenting for each of these trade contractors all falls within the approved GMP project value that was approved by this committee. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to jump in, and I'll do my best to answer you.
So before we get started on these, I just want to state that, well, first thing is, all of these have been thoroughly reviewed by myself and Mr. Smith. And if we have any questions, we bring it up so that before it gets here, many questions have been answered, but these are fairly straightforward. We also, when we try to award contracts for the work, we try to go through a process where, first thing is, we try to have contractors in Nashua, if not Nashua, in the surrounding areas, and then in New Hampshire, and then New England. We basically go in that order. Everybody that bids has to be an approved contractor and meet the requirements of the bid. And we tend to try to favor companies that we've had good experience with so that we don't end up with any problems. I think I explained all that. So I will need a motion to award, you did the concrete?
No, I haven't done it yet.
Oh. Go ahead.
But if I don't have to talk anymore, that'd be great. Okay, so in front of you, just to clarify, you have the fairly abridged version of the packages. What was emailed out in the link contains all of the trade contractor backup. It's over, the total package is over 250 pages. So for the sake of the environment and everybody else, I put together a kind of a summary sheet for everybody. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to look at the link, or I can provide a hard copy for you.
Yeah, Mr. Smith and I both have the 250-page version.
Right. So the first trade contractor package I'll be recommending tonight is for the concrete material package, and that's to basically furnish all of the concrete for the job based on our takeoffs. So it's all the concrete for all of the slabs, the foundations, and the sidewalks and flat work in the project. We received 3 competitive bids. We're recommending the most qualified bidder, and that is Ready Mix Companies Incorporated of Amherst, New Hampshire. One of the reasons we chose them, they are doing the work over at Pennichuck, and this particular job site is 10 miles from their main plant, which is very important for the amount of trucks that we're going to need to be calling on. So with that, I'd like to recommend Ready Mix Companies for the concrete material package for a total contract value of $648,208.00.
So I would entertain a motion to award the concrete material scope of work to Ready Mix Companies of Amherst, New Hampshire in the amount of $648,208.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Timmons. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next package I'll be covering is the architectural millwork and finished carpentry package. This is to furnish and install all of the architectural millwork items noted. Window trim, solid surface sills and aprons, so that's the granite or Corian countertops and window sills, all the plywood at all the casework and locker bases, all the plastic laminate, solid surface, and butcher block counters with supports and grommets for wire management, all the hardware and aluminum linear grills at all of the casework, architectural desks in the administration, circulation, and guidance areas, plastic laminate wall paneling. Jamie mentioned that earlier. That was the rule-on paneling that you saw in the main area. Standing and running wood trim throughout the project, all the wood bookcases, wardrobe cabinets, and cubbies, and the wood community stair in the main wood community stair in the cafe. We received 4 competitive bids, and we're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, and that is Alderman Woodworking Incorporated of Bow, New Hampshire. They also did all of the work at Fairgrounds and will be installing at Pennichuck for a total contract value of $1,483,767.00.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to award the architectural millwork scope of work to Alderman Woodworking, Inc. of Bow, New Hampshire in the amount of $1,483,767.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Timmons. Questions? Every time you see these numbers, you have to visualize this is a very big, brand-new building. Okay, if there are no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next bid package is the air barrier and weather barrier. So again, this is keeping all of the moisture on the outside of the building. This is all the air barrier, weather barrier, and includes the furnish and install of those specific products. We did receive 3 competitive bids. We're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, and that is Streamline Waterproofing and Caulking of Londonderry, New Hampshire, for a total contract value of $731,002.00.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to the award of the air barrier and weather barrier scope of work to Streamline Waterproofing and Caulking of Londonderry, New Hampshire, in the amount of $731,002.
So moved.
Okay, Mrs. Julia? All right, thank you. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The next big package is the composite wall panel package. The scope of work here is the ultra-high performance concrete panels, which I highlighted at Pennichuck. It's a similar product. The composite metal panels, all the rain screen attachment system, thermal rigid insulation that's required to get the insulation and the R value for the building, tongue and groove wood soffit at the main entry, all the hardware and all the installation of the aforementioned products. It's pretty much a similar type of system that you'll see at Pennichuck, but with a few more architectural features included. We did receive 5 bids. We're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, and that is Exterior Designs of Londonderry, New Hampshire. They're currently doing the work over at Pennichuck Middle School. There is a total contract value of $3,278,074.00.
I'll entertain a motion to award the composite wall panel scope of work to Exterior Designs of Londonderry, New Hampshire, in the amount of $3,278,074.
So moved.
Mrs. Timmons? Okay. Any questions? Alderman Sullivan?
For all of this, the material in this scope of work specifically, you typically have warranties on the material and, you know, should there be a defect, a product defect, or if they install it wrong or anything like that? What's the warranty situation there?
Yeah, so typically it's, the warranty starts from the date of substantial completion, and that's when, after Harriman will do their inspection, and the group will decide upon when we completed, typically by a phase or an area or wing of the building. A lot of these specialty products come with an additional product warranty, which often exceeds a standard warranty. They're pretty sizable, usually 10, 20, you know, pretty long periods of time.
Okay.
Carl?
Yeah, for example, Alderman Sullivan, roofing, for example, will be pretty much a 20-year total package warranty. Compressors and air handling units are lots of times 5-year warranties. The insulated glass has a 10-year warranty, so on the material, not the installation. Pretty much all the installation is a 1-year warranty from the date of substantial completion, but material warranties vary by product as specified and asked for by the architect.
Okay, thank you.
And to a great degree, we try to use contractors that used before, and the material is stood up, and that's a plus in their favor when we go into looking at the bids.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. The next bid package is the penetration fire stop package. This is actually only for at the slab edges, so basically at the edge of the concrete slabs at each level of the building. All the other fire stopping will be performed by, at the top and bottom of walls will be done by the framer and drywall contractor, and any of the mechanical, electrical, fire protection, all the MEP penetrations will be performed by the licensed MEP contractors that will be making their own penetrations. So this is just for the slab edges only. So with that, sometimes with these smaller scopes of work, it's harder to get some bid coverage. So for this particular package, we did receive only one bid. We've worked with them many times before. This is Amherst Insulation and Fire Stop Service of Manchester, New Hampshire. And the total contract value is $169,920.00.
So I'll entertain a motion to award the penetration fire stopping scope of work to Amherst Insulation and Fire Stop Services, Inc. of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the amount of $169,920.
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Wiltshire. Any questions?
All right, just have one question, if you
Yes.
don't mind.
Mrs. Timmons?
You have one bidder that came in for this particular project, right? How long did that bid take to come in, just out of curiosity?
Good.
You had just one bidder, okay, and I was wondering, how long did it take to that one bidder come in before you were awarded that one, or did you wait for others?
The award is actually taking place here tonight.
Oh,
So the way the process goes is once we receive the construction documents from the architect that we get a bill by, there's an invite that goes out to hundreds of contractors for various trades. Numerous times we got to go back to and ask 2, 3, 4 times sometimes, are you bidding? Are you going to bid? Are you going to bid? All the bids are collected on a set date and time. And then we compile the given from my department and estimating over to project management. They put on a spreadsheet that you see behind. It's not here tonight. You've got that in your package, but
Right here.
there's a matrix developed for every scope of work So we make sure we're buying everything once and only once, and it's the scope that we want. That's the attachment. You folks got all this information. That's the 250 pages that Ken was alluding to. But there is a set date and time, just in fairness to all the bidders, that everything has to come in on. So we end up with what we end up with on bid day. And unfortunately, as Ken was saying, fire stopping, not a major trade, and there's only a handful of folks that do it and do a good job at it. Amherst, we've used on numerous projects, probably all our school projects that I can think of. So I feel comfortable that based on what he had for scope, looking at the numbers, looking at previous school work and what the numbers were there, you know, from a linear footage standpoint, it all fit in to what we thought was a fair number.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Excuse
Any
me,
other-
but Carl, I think more of the question was how long was the bid on the street for somebody to respond to? So
We typically give everybody 3 weeks' time. From the time that they are sent the invitation via email, they have 3 weeks to respond.
Yeah, a
And
previous,
that can be extended. I'm trying to think, this was extended based on addendums that came out also. So, an addendum, for those that aren't aware, as we are bidding this and we're doing our takeoffs and looking at the documentation that's prepared, we will submit what we call bid RFIs, requests for information, clarifications. That's sent off to Harriman and their team. They compile all the answers for the information. They put it on what's called an addendum. And I think we had 3 or 4 addendum on this project. So the initial 3 weeks was the bid time, and then we would extend it based on what we had for addendums, so.
and the question you asked are the type of questions that Mr. Smith and I ask as we're going through this, because we have, again, we have all the pages and all the bids. Alderman Clee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things, just again, for those that are new, in the packet, Harvey does put in the spreadsheet, and they nicely highlight the one that you're, and sometimes it's not always the lowest bidder, but there's usually a reason. For instance, they didn't bid on all of the items, or there's some issues with that particular one. And they've always been really wonderful about saying, why didn't we go with the lowest bidder? But it's usually pretty clear on these spreadsheets, so.
Yep.
The spreadsheets don't print out really well, so look at them on your computer so you can widen them up, otherwise I'm too old to look at something this little.
At least my spreadsheets, I have them printed large for the visually challenged individual.
Special request.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next bid package tonight is the damp proofing and joint sealants bid package. So damp proofing is what we call, it's basically all the waterproofing for the stuff that you don't see. So all the foundation, the concrete foundations and various retaining walls. It's typically the black stuff that you see sprayed on at the exterior of the foundations. This package also includes all the interior and exterior joint sealants for the project. So all the caulking and that'll be performed by one trade contractor, which is typically the way that you want to go. Just ensures better quality across the board. We received 2 bids for this package. We're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, and that is Associated Concrete Coatings LLC of Manchester, New Hampshire, for a total contract value of $254,750.00.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the damp proofing and joint sealant scope of work to Associated Concrete Coatings LLC of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the amount of $254,750.
So moved.
Mrs. Timmons, yes. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next package is the painting and wall coverings package. This covers all, so starting to get into more of the self-explanatory finish items. Covers all painting and coating for the project. We received 3 competitive bids, and we're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, and that is Noonan Brothers Painting of Manchester, New Hampshire. They're performing all the painting at Pennichuck, and they're also perform the painting at Fairgrounds as well. Total contract value recommendation of $310,000.00.
So I'll entertain a motion to award the painting and coating scope of work to Noonan Brothers Painting of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the amount of $310,000. So moved by Alderman Sullivan. Any questions? If you've seen the painting at the other schools, you know it's good work. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next package is the tiling package, starting to similar finish packages here. It's all the scope of work for the floor and wall tiling throughout the project, and it includes the furnish and install of the tile itself. We received 4 competitive bids. We're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, and that is Triform Floor Covering of Hampstead, New Hampshire, for a total contract value of $666,000.00.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to award the tiling scope of work to Triform Floor Covering of Hampstead, New Hampshire, in the amount of $666,000.
So moved.
So moved. Who's that? Alderman Timmons, yes. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next package is the resinous flooring package. This includes all of the, basically the concrete sealed areas of, typically in mechanical areas of the building, not really where any students and teachers are going to typically be, but more for the maintenance crew and facility workers. So it covers all that scope of work. We did receive 2 competitive bids. We're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, and again, that is going to Associated Concrete Coatings, LLC of Manchester, New Hampshire, for a total contract value of $25,900.00.
Did we? Hang on, I'm just trying to see if. This is yeah, I'm just looking to. This was the one I think didn't have the thing, sticker on it. So make sure I get the right page here.
Okay.
So this is.
It's Associated Concrete Coatings for the resinous flooring.
Oh, residence flooring, okay. Yep, okay, I got it. All right, so I'll need a motion to award residence flooring scope of work to Associated Concrete Coatings LLC of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the amount of $25,900.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Giglio?
Yeah.
Giglio, yes.
It's okay.
Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next bid package is the flooring package. This includes all the resilient flooring and accessories, including wall base, the resilient athletic flooring, all the carpeting, all the entrance floor mats and frames, and includes the installation of the aforementioned items above. We had great coverage in this bid package. We received 5 competitive bids. We're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, R. Fraser Company from Hudson, New Hampshire, for a total contract value of $1,501,825.00.
Okay. One second.
Is it on the back side of one of those, Rick?
That is it, it's a little red thing.
Yeah. The one, next tab I have is gymnasium equipment. That's why I think there was one without a tab, but.
It's okay, we can go through, you can reference the title page that gives you the breakdown of the flooring package.
Do you want me to turn the projector off and turn the lights on? Do you want me to turn the, are you done with the projector?
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
Ken, while we're waiting,
That's the one without the tab that I was mentioning.
Okay, you were right.
Yep.
question was raised, that does not include the gym floor at this, that's a
No,
separate contract.
no, that doesn't include the gym flooring.
That's another one. So I'd like to get a motion to award the flooring scope of work to R. Fraser Company of Hudson, New Hampshire in the amount of $1,501,825.
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Wiltshire. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next package is for the gymnasium equipment and bleachers. Scope of work includes, similar to what you saw over at Fairgrounds, a motorized folding basketball hoops and divider curtain, brand new safety wall padding in the gym and also in the quiet room areas, all new volleyball equipment, 2 brand new scoreboards, and telescoping bleachers. We did receive 4 bids, and we're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, and that is Robert H. Lord Company from Manchester, Connecticut. They did the work over at Fairgrounds and also are doing the work at Pennichuck.
Now, 2 of the other bidders that had lower prices weren't compliant because they didn't bid everything.
Correct. There were unspecified gym equipment. They would not quote did not feel like it was, we did not feel that it met the specifications brought forth in the construction documents. There, I believe Harriman listed 4 different manufacturers, and the lowest bidder did not provide a specified product.
Right. I just wanted to explain that for people that might have reviewed the spreadsheets. All right, I'll need a motion to approve the gymnasium equipment and bleachers scope work to Robert H. Lord Company of Manchester, Connecticut in the amount of $257,711.
So moved.
So moved. That,
That was me.
Jen, okay.
I'll get my name right.
That's good. Okay, so any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next package is the kitchen equipment package. This includes all of the appliances, all the units that include cooler, the freezer, steamer, a brand new oven, refrigerator, sinks, etc. Everything you see in a professional grade kitchen. Includes all stainless steel and plastic shelving, racks, counters, and servers. This price also does include a 2024 delivery. We've run into a lot of issues because this job takes so many years to complete. We have to ensure that a lot of these contractors are carrying the escalation in their price for when they need to deliver their product. So we received two bids for this package. We're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, and that is Kittredge Food Service Equipment and Supplies of Agawam, Massachusetts. That is a total contract value of $439,000.00.
Okay, I'd like a motion to approve the kitchen equipment scope of work to Kittredge Food Service Equipment and Supplies of Agawam, Mass. in the amount of $439,000.
So moved.
Oh, I'll give Lampier for. All right, any questions?
I do have one question.
Oh, Ms. Timmons?
Thank you, Chairman Dow. Includes escalation 2024 delivery. What specifically does that mean?
So oftentimes, with the construction market as it is right now, we've seen even from when we received the bids in September to now, prices have increased. So that's the importance of getting certain contractors signed up so early so we can lock in prices. So when I say includes 2024 delivery, this price will be locked in for when they deliver the food service equipment in 2024.
Oh, okay.
So we won't be getting price escalation requests from this trade contractor.
Okay.
We won't be coming back here for more money.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, good.
Sullivan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's kind of a related question. So the escalation is it's not an expedite fee. So you're not putting a rush on the equipment, you're locking it in, like you're buying it today, but you're gonna pay the price you would have paid today, but for 2024.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I had the
Any
same
other,
concern.
any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next bid package is kind of a specialty package here, and this is for the coral risers, stage curtains, and associated rigging. The scope of work for this package is the coral riser, to furnish and install all the coral risers, stage curtains, and rigging. It includes all the front of house piping required for the dimming equipment in the stage area, and includes installation of the aforementioned items. So again, this is one of those kind of niche packages that Mr. Dubois alluded to earlier. So sometimes the coverage isn't quite as, there's basically only 2 people that do it. So we received 2 bids. We're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, and that is Port Lighting Systems of Seabrook, New Hampshire, for a total contract value of $52,701.47.
Okay, I'd like a motion to approve the award of the coral risers, stage curtains, and rigging scope of work to Port Lighting Systems of Seabrook, New Hampshire, in the amount of $52,701.47.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Gilio.
I love the 47 cents.
Any questions?
47 cents.
Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and the final package for tonight, and I just want to thank everybody for sitting through this. This is very important. We're, after these packages are complete, we'll be almost through buyout for the project, which is a huge milestone. So it really helps us get things moving on site. So for the last package tonight, this is for the laboratory casework bid package, and this is for all the lab casework and hardware in the science areas, all of the black epoxy resin countertops, similar to what we see over at Fairgrounds in the new science rooms. All the freestanding wood-framed epoxy science tables, and this includes the install of the epoxy sinks that'll be furnished by the plumber. It just, if we feel like if we get a better product if you're having the lab company install the sinks themselves and having the plumber come in and do it. So we did receive 2 bids for this scope of work. We're recommending the lowest qualified bidder, Lab Furniture Installations and Sales of Middleton, Mass. They're doing the work over at Pennichuck right now as well. For a recommended contract value of $460,317.00.
So I'd like to get a motion to award the lab casework scope of work to Lab Furniture Installations and Sales, Inc. of Middletown, Massachusetts, in the amount of $460,317.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Timmons. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That is it for Harvey. Carl, do you have any comments or anything for tonight?
Nope, I just thank everybody. You just approved over $10 million of contracts that we can get going.
Absolutely nothing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not the largest night.
No, not the first night was the largest.
First night was the
Thank you,
largest
everybody.
night.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
Steel was involved in that one.
Oh, oh, the 100.
That was
million.
where on the steel they gave us a bid, it was good for 10 days, and if we didn't approve it in 10 days, it went up 30%.
That was crazy.
Okay, next, so we got that. All right. RFP submissions. Mr. Smith.
Yes, I think these were in your package. So we sent out solicitations for a traffic analysis firm and also a geotech. So this is for Franklin Street. So we actually ended up deciding that these would be paid for with school district deferred maintenance to start with. And it already went through our finance committee, was approved that way. I'm hopeful that the joint special can fund this after we actually have bond money, but we don't yet. So we're still working on the bonded cost budget. So that is working its way through the school district, for the Board of Ed. But both of those are needed sooner than later so that the architect can finish their design for Franklin Street this summer. The geotech in particular that information is needed for the two fire egress stairways that go on either side of the school. And then if any of you have been around the school during when school starts or when it lets out, you can see what a cluster it is with all the parents dropping off and school buses and everything else. So doing the traffic analysis is key, particularly if we get the egress towers in and double the size of the student body next fall. So we wanted to get that done sooner than later. So it's really just a report, no action needed tonight on that item.
All right. So, Alderman Cleen?
Thank you. I've gotten a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but a handful of people that have contacted me because of the drop-off and the danger of where kids are getting dropped off and how close the cars are going by. So I appreciate you doing this traffic study. And I know DPW put up some new signs to kind of remind people there's a school here and students and so on. So thank you.
We actually did meet with DPW about a month or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's about what it was, yeah.
Discussed the whole situation.
Yeah.
They actually suggested the traffic analysis work as well.
Thank you.
So did you need a motion?
I don't think so at this point.
Okay.
And the scope of work's going through the
All right,
the
and
Board
the
of Education.
geotechnical services?
Same thing.
Same thing, yeah. All right. Invoices.
Just a quick tutorial. So whenever we receive invoices, they come to us for approval to pay. I put them on the spreadsheet, which was in your package. Each school project has a separate spreadsheet. The top half of the sheet lists the general categories of the expenditure: construction manager, architect, testing services, geotechnical work, that sort of thing. The bottom half of it shows the specific vendors that it goes to. And then the whole thing totals. Then on top of that package is a summary sheet that summarizes all 3 middle school projects. And you can see the totals there. But I'll read from the agenda. The invoices that are on here are the same that are on the spreadsheets. So the first is for East Coast Signals for work at Pennichuck Middle School in the amount of $44,640. That was for the temporary signals that they put in this past summer. Next are invoices for the architect Harriman, 4 of them, for new middle school, Pennichuck, Fairgrounds Middle School, and Franklin Street, totaling $97,930.95. Next, we have 3 invoices from Harvey Construction for work at Pennichuck, new middle school, and Fairgrounds Middle School. The new middle school, we haven't started work yet, but we already authorized them to start ordering steel and that sort of thing. So that's why we're starting to see the invoices already. Those 3 total $2,173,578.37. Next, John Turner Consulting Service. They are testing services, so they're there to watch the steel construction. They'll test soil compression, concrete, that sort of thing. So one invoice in the amount of $2,350. Page Street Storage, that's a ground storage unit, $95 for a single unit at Pennichuck. Turner Group, 2 invoices totaling $20,490.02. They are our commissioning agents, so they come in and look at the mechanical systems and make sure they're performing as originally designed. In addition, at Fairgrounds Middle School, we decided late in the project to have them come back and recommission all the existing systems, because it had been 20 years since those were commissioned. RTM Communications is the company that's installing the network, and they're billing us, I believe that's a mistake. It says new middle school. That'd be work at Fairgrounds Middle School, and that totals $59,911.86. Next, we have school furnishings, so they provided all the school desks, chairs, tables, what have you. Three invoices at Fairgrounds Middle School totaling $16,315.68. Finally, Vaness and Associates, they are our traffic analysis firm. They've done work for us at Pennichuck and New Middle School. These invoices are for Pennichuck, two of them totaling $3,928.27. All that totals, I'll give you two numbers. For the bonded projects, that totals $2,381,176.52. And in addition, for Franklin Street, it was actually deferred maintenance money, $17,735.17.
Okay, I'll need a motion to approve the payment of the invoices in the amount of, for the middle school project, $2,381,176.52, and for Franklin Street, out of deferred maintenance, $17,735.17.
So,
So moved by Mrs. Timmons, Alderman Timmons. Any discussion?
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, Mr. Chairman,
Oh, Alderman Clee?
you should always look over this way, you know, I always have a question. Just for our education, when I look at the Franklin Middle School construction project worksheet, I see that the remaining balance is just slightly over $2 million. Do we expect to have more invoices to cover that? And normally we'll just roll that into the next school. Is that the way that would work, or?
Was that Fairgrounds you were talking about?
Yeah, Fairgrounds. So when you're looking at their, what did I say? I didn't mean Franklin, I meant Fairgrounds, sorry.
We are going to have a savings on Fairgrounds.
Yes.
I
know.
believe the last discussion I had with Sean was like 1.4 million, roughly. You know, there's still a couple little things we have to cover, but that gets rolled into the rest of the project. Carl?
A portion of that is our retainage. On every application of payment that we submit, there's 10% held out, or 5% on various things. So a portion of that, it would be our final payment for that school.
Right.
Yep.
I just wanted to clarify that, so,
So,
thank you.
Not all savings.
No.
yeah, I got a pen from somebody at City Hall the other day as a gift, and it says, "On time, under budget." So that's our mantra on this program. We have sort of been handcuffed by the pandemic and the global economy, but we're doing pretty well, and when we get all the final things figured out, we'll bring it to the committee. So, I think we have the motion on the floor to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Comments by committee members. Alderman Wiltshire.
I appreciate the artwork.
Yes.
Isn't that
Mike
what
Maswilshire.
you
Your microphone, your microphone.
Microphone.
Charlotte Ave.
This is Charlotte Ave School. We'll be doing a shout out to them at our next board meeting on Monday.
Yeah, so
Are
this
you
is,
going to continue to cycle through?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I think it's great. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
if you've seen the ones before, we had artwork from, I believe it was North, and then, was it Sunset Heights?
Yep, sunset.
Yeah, it's been neat to see
Yeah.
the collection that's come in here.
the artwork is very important for students going through school. As my daughter is now an art teacher in Milford.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know where she gets it, I didn't get it from me, but. Any other comments of committee members? Okay, none. We don't need a non-public. Do I hear a motion? To adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Alderman Timmons, make motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 9:15. Most of our meetings aren't this long, by the way.